Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. Charlie Ward. Yeah. With your question of the week, I hope this video finds you well. I'm just going to check. I hope I'm in the right place. I have a question. Yes, there we go. So, yes, I hope this video finds you well. And yeah, I've got a question, which I love, as you know. So, let me just quit that. This happened to me the other day. Someone was interviewing me for a podcast and somebody was WhatsApping me and it was just like, bing, bing. Anyway, hopefully that's off. I have this question from Holly today and I want to speak to this, but I'm going to read out the question first so you get a feel for what she's saying. What she says is she's just heard my interview, one of my interviews that I've done. Maybe it was the one that's in my free Facebook community around addiction. And she says, this is part of my scary story I sometimes get caught up in. She says she hasn't drunk alcohol for 12 years and she has no desire to, but I mentioned in my video Valium. Now she says, this is my thing at the moment, and zopiclone. Now, zopiclone is a sleeping tablet that she feels she needs, she's put in capital letters, she needs to have in the house, although she has days when she doesn't take them and she feels fine. Then she goes on to say, but the thought of not having the option to take a Valium in those anxious or panicky moments fills me with fear. I feel I'm in an in-between state. I see that I don't need them, but the other week I had a series of anxiety and panic attacks as I believed the addict story. So what I hear in that is what I suspect. I mean, and I don't know, Holly, so please tell me if I've misunderstood this. I'll send you this video. You are believing that you need the Valium and the zopiclone and you need them near you, and if they're not there, you become anxious. What she says is, my biggest struggle is not really deeply knowing that I don't need them. And sometimes when I feel worse, it feels like a dirty secret, which reminds me of my previous alcohol addiction. I'm on HRT, which I find helpful. I'm 47, perimenopausal, but I have times that my addiction story, I have times where she feels trapped by her addiction story and her thinking around that. So thank you, Holly, for the question. And I'll do my best to speak to this. And for those of you that know my story, and there is a video in my free Facebook group called the Freedom Group, where I talk about my previous addictions to pretty much everything. I mean, I had anxiety, PTSD, body dysmorphia, dysfunctional eating, dysfunctional drinking, dysfunctional relationship to self. Many years ago, I was addicted to Valium and took a lot of Valium. I haven't touched it personally now for many years. But that addiction that I had, not to Valium, to anything, continued right up until I saw something around my innate health. I thought the answer lied in giving up the Valium, giving up the drink, giving up the coffee, giving up the cigarettes, giving up. That's where I thought. I'm just going to take these earrings off in case they're making a noise. This morning I was on a call with someone. I hadn't realised I'd got two earrings stuck to this one earring. So when we have an issue with something, whether that be, like so many of us are addicted to something, whether it's something outside of us like a tablet or alcohol or cigarettes or drugs or over-the-counter medications, if we're not addicted there, we're addicted to our phone, we might be addicted to food, we might be addicted to starving ourselves, we might be addicted to exercise, we might be addicted to drama, we might be addicted to blah, 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 blah. Like there are so many, many ways we can get caught up in not knowing where we're reliant on something to numb us. So it looks like the answer, Holly, comes from the settling down comes from the drug of choice or the action of choice. So essentially that's what's happening, Holly, is that you were drinking, you're no longer drinking, you're now on Valium and zopiclone, but you're having periods and moments where you know you're okay and you don't need the Valium to be okay, because you know on some level you're already okay. Now, Holly is in the conversation of the principles, which is a lot of what I teach, something called the 3 principles. And you can Google that or listen to my podcast or any of my vlogs to find out a bit more about that. So I won't go into detail about that here. But essentially, when we live in an outside in world, it looks like we have a problem, i.e. we're drinking too much or we're taking whatever we're taking. Because on some level, there is a settling down. There is a place in us that settles down. So a lot of our addictions come from the lower brain. And again, I have spoken about this quite deeply before on videos. And there is a video in my free group. If you're in the free group and want me to tag you in it, I will. But it's also the top pinned video on my YouTube channel, The Neuroscience of a Habit. So Holly, your brain is convincing you at the moment that you need the Valium or the zopiclone to be okay, even though you've had experiences of being okay. So it's really about getting curious there, because often when we're in the world of I need X to be okay, when that feels true, no amount of telling ourselves that isn't true is going to be helpful, because the lower brain's going to do everything it can to convince you. Did you hear my dog? To convince you to keep going with the thing, whatever the thing is. In Holly's case, at the moment, it appears to be Valium and zopiclone. Now, the other important thing is we start to identify or misidentify with who we think we are based on our belief about what that means about us. If I take Valium, if I take zopiclone, if I do whatever it is I have thinking about, the more thinking I have about something, the more the lower brain's going to tell you to do the habit that you have said you don't want to do. Now, when we start to misidentify with a part of us that we don't like or we feel ashamed by, what Holly has said here is that she feels like it's a dirty secret and she feels shame around that. And of course, shame is one of the biggest emotions that so many of us carry that leads us to our behavior, because the behavior settles us down. So it's like this sort of, it's like a cycle. It's like a cycle. But what you have to kind of get a feel for here, Holly, or anyone listening that feels like they might be drinking too much or doing something too much, is that who you are is not who you think you are. And everything in the world of form, including behaviors, emotions, and thoughts, psychology, body, that is not who you are. That's not the truth of who you are. It's why, Holly, you were saying I did have a drink problem and now I don't, but I'm still taking zopiclone and Valium and I don't like it because it reminds me of my having a drink problem. Now, both of those Hollies, if you like, have different addiction problems, but the Holly that's underneath is still the same. The Holly that's experiencing the addiction is the same. the Holly that in this moment is not the one that was drinking. I hope that makes sense. But essentially, if I don't deal with what's underneath in here, then I'm going to have a number of other addictions running along at any one time, because I'm still trying to change my experience of life. So as I said to you at the beginning of this video, taking Valium was something I did many, many years ago in my early 30s. And I stopped that. I took myself off it. I weaned myself off it. But then I started to exercise like 4 hours a day. And there were other things that I was doing. I can't remember now because I'm going back 16, 17 years. But it didn't, even though I stopped taking the Valium because I thought the Valium was a problem, it didn't help to ease my experience of life, because I was looking in the wrong place. I was looking through the lens of, I'm a shit person, I'm broken, there's something wrong with me, I need to fix myself, even though the Valium's not there. So there's still a lot of internal thinking and judgment and shame, etc., going on, which are all the things that we really don't like to feel. And so all we're ever trying to do, Holly, is change a feeling. And feeling is something that's temporary. Emotion is energy in motion. Everything in the world of form, as I said, is moving through. But when we misidentify with something in the world of form, we think that's who we are. And if my fundamental belief is that I'm broken and that there's something wrong with me, I'm going to do my behavior, because in some ways that takes me out of it. There's wisdom even in your addictions, whether you want to believe that or not. There's a reason why we do the things we do. These are protector parts. This isn't about self-sabotage. This is about, everybody is looking for peace of mind. Everybody is looking for peace of mind. And it doesn't matter how we find it. If you don't know that it comes from in here, from within, you're going to do your best to look outside of yourself, whether that be in tablet form or drink form or drug form or different behavior forms. That's what we're going to do to try and feel okay. There's nothing wrong with you, Holly. Even when you were drinking, there was nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with you now. It doesn't matter to me that you're perimenopausal or any of that other stuff. What matters to me is that you realize, even if you took that away, the zopiclone and the Valium, which I'm not suggesting you do at the moment because it feels like it's very true for you that you need them to be okay, even though you've had days where you're okay without them. Get curious about that, because that's interesting, right? It's like, how does that happen? It's exactly the same as the teddy bear analogy. You know, if I have a teddy bear and I cuddle the teddy bear, then suddenly I'm okay. But the teddy bear is a stuffed toy, right? So the settling down is coming from inside me. Then you've got all this neuroscience that makes the connections in our brain. Oh, she settled down when she has zopiclone, or she settles down when she has Valium, or she settles down when she has alcohol. So then it creates the thought, she needs this. And then once that neuron's fired with another neuron, unless you know otherwise, you're going to keep believing the thought that gets created from the lower brain. These aren't even your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You're the person experiencing your thoughts. So once you start to really see that, you will see that underneath all the emotion, underneath all of the psychology, underneath all the experiences, there's the you that's experiencing all of it. And that you is okay and always has been. Always has been. It doesn't matter what's happened to you. There's a part of you that cannot be broken, no matter what you take, no matter what you do. And when we start from there, we really see, okay, what if that were true? What if I wasn't broken? And then you start to see through the illusion that you are. And often we'll wear a mask. And that's why, again, you said, you know, it reminds me of my secret behavior. It doesn't have to. if you don't believe that thought that pops in, and we've all got thoughts that pop in that tell us we're shit. That's kind of how every single human being works, unless you know different. Now, today on my free Facebook group, I have offered to share a video where I was being coached back in 2018 by two brilliant members of my community called Jan and Chip Chipman. And they were coaching me. And back then, I had chronic anxiety, PTSD, nightmares, daymares. My hair was falling out. I had really bad skin, chronic eye infection. I was tearful, emotional, thought I was broken. Didn't know how I was even going to get through the next day, let alone any other days. And this video is of me being coached. And what I've done in my community is I said, if you want to watch that, I've got a link, I can share it with you. If you send me a message, I'll share it with you, because I want you to see the difference in me now compared to where I was in 2018, where I was the one who was doing all the behaviors and had all this anxious thinking, because I want to offer you hope. I'm not doing all these videos and these podcasts just to hear myself speak. This is about literally offering people hope. What's possible for you? Because if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I would have said to anyone who was listening to me at the time, I'm completely broken. I thought I was fucked, and I actually wasn't. I just thought I was. So I feel very, very blessed to have come across this understanding and do the work that I do and share this in my communities and everywhere else that I share it. And if you want to see that video of me being coached, send me a message. If you're not in my community, if you are in my community, it's at the top. It's now pinned, and you can just comment and I'll send you the link via private message. Just so you get some idea of where I've come from, what I've been through, and what's going on for me now is beyond my wildest dreams, actually. So, yeah, thank you for the question, Holly. I hope that was helpful. And I'll look forward to next week's question, and I'll see you very soon. Ciao.